Hello, it's me, it's Wolfren again. It's twice this week. Yay. This is becoming kind of a routine, I think. It shouldn't. Well, you might have seen, let me fix that for a second. You might have seen the Varga video, and there we talk about how Nadir is a good card and how Mask makes Nadir better and how the least we see the Varga video doesn't work. Okay, let's see something that has been working for me actually working finally, and let's talk about some of the choices. Why am I fucking wait, yeah, so basically let's move through the deck, let's explain the choices, let's explain how to play it, and to be honest, I think this is the third best deck in the format, like literally the third best deck, like no worse, no better, the third. Okay, so let's discuss why. For starters, we have the right line. If you have seen the video, basically fishing has proved being way better than Rancor Chain. The reason is that while both right lines equal a +2, fishing is actually adding more actions. Like you are like using 2 philanders, you get to not call in the board. Like you look at top 7, choose another, put it into hand, and look at top 7, choose a creature and put it into the drop zone. Even if it's at once and you are just scrying one time, you are still doing 2 things on top of the regular +1. So fishing has proved being way better than Rancor Chain. And then, like, because this is way better, we don't mind this being a bit slower. We just use this sorry. So we just use this like a way of like we mill with Shadow Cloak and just add the card back to our hand for our next turn. Okay, so this is better, saves hand, prevents you does more at once, and you rely on seeing less cards for the synergy to work, right? Philander is bad if Rancor is bad if you don't see Philander. Okay, so yeah, we will stick with this. Then we have the obvious parts of the deck, the 3 Zorga Nadir, the 4 RPD, the 4 Shadow Cloaks, okay? This is mandatory. We are going to play a deck that it's essentially like... I know I should probably record this again, but I also think it's funny. Yeah, so basically we want to play a deck that it's like Zorga Nadir on bulkiness. Going for aggro doesn't work, Zorga Masques it's no longer the best aggro deck in the format, and going mid-range doesn't even work because you cannot damage deny. So because of that, we are going to lose more because we cannot play around the games by damage denying or something. So we either have, with Zorga Mask, aggro mode, you either have a good hand with God triggers, or you will brick and then won't have an out for that and lose, or you just won't have the triggers and still lose. So we want to play Zorga Nadir and we want to play very bulky. We play 2 of that because this is broken, 3 shooter and 4 PGs, okay? So up to here, like it's the same deck. We want to play a deck that it's like Zorga Nadir, like it's very bulky, non-reliant on pieces. We'll run like 4 PGs, 3 shooters, 2 Blitz Order, which is a lot of defense. And we want to play that because we want to survive until we get our green engine ongoing, okay? However, when we play Zorga Nadir, we might find out we are missing on soul, we might find out we are missing on power when we go second. We will find out that Zorga Nadir has some weak points that in my opinion are covered by the Zorga Mask itself, okay? So this is core for any Zorga Nadir deck you are going to play. If you play it pure, you want to run a 4th shooter, but here, because you can afford the second Blitz Order, it's fine running less of that, also because you can afford bouncing this more, so the 3 copies are, alongside with the 2 Blitz Orders, enough. With this right line, you really want to have access to these 5 cards, at least 4 of them, because if that fishing whiffs, it's also slower. So if you go second, you want to have access to the draws or the extra defense, and if it whiffs, you want to still keep the advantage with the brave shooter. Remember, we said that fishing doesn't really never whiff, because even if it doesn't find an order, it can still find a dragon or a shadow cloak, that are cards that are plussing to board and taking cards from our opponent's hands, or like you are still finding something, so it never whiffs, like really never whiffs. However, it's nice to have the cover up in case the cards are missing. I have been really comfortable with 3 and 2. 4 and 1, it's worse because you flood on that, and maybe this goes to damage or you don't see it. And also because we are going to run a lot of one-offs, and it's fine to be able to just draw naturally some of the parts of the deck without having to put too much weight on Shadow Cloak, because sometimes you don't have enough Shadow Cloaks, so you really want to have 2. So 2 and 3, it's the best for me. I don't think I would change anything anymore. For the hybrid version, if you go for the regular version, you play 4, but then you might want even to go down on this because you don't get to play that as much. But the thing is, I think this card is broken. It's like Levidras, like this like Levidras puts 3 markers per turn and they save a lot of cards. This card works very similar. It's a lot of shield. It's like 40k shield. It can also be like 48, 53. Like the free PG, you don't pay for it. You don't discard for it, and then you draw another. Like this card, it's amazing. And Zorga Mask can bind a Zorga Nadir from the deck to call shooter to get this to hand every turn. Okay, so having this in hand every turn wins games. Right? We have to play something easy, something simple that doesn't need like 3000 IQ plays. Like we just abuse the broken card. Just as everyone is doing here. We cannot deny them. Okay, we don't let them play. With this deck, what we are doing is, okay, we are 3 attacks for the most of the game, but they are also 3 attacks, because we will see one with the orders, but the thing is we can add this to our hand every turn. We have that for extra draw power and defense, and then we have an extremely well and good engine that lets us put one or even 2 PGs per turn. So, okay, we are 3 attack decks, no problem. They are also 3 attacks, because we have such amount of defense that they cannot really push, even with 5 attacks. Like, I'm consistently beating Levidras with this. Like, they cannot kill you. Like, if they don't sack you turn 3, especially if they go first, it's very easy to get sacked when that happens. But if they don't sack you turn 3, then you are never going to die for the rest of the game. And they have a problem. It's fine, you have 5 attacks. You also have to pay 2 or 1 CVs every turn. We do not. You have the problem here. You better resource your management well. Okay? So yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to create an environment. It's like we play this Yu-Gi-Oh! Field card that says both decks are 3 attack decks, because we defend so well that for us every deck it's 5 attacks. It's less, it's like 3 attacks. And I've played a lot. I don't think anything that is not Reza, Levidras or Nitros, I don't think anything besides that can beat this. So I'm very confident on that. That's why I think it's like the 3rd best deck. Like, I think this is equal to Nitros, because Nitros, it's very good, but it can be slow and like it doesn't feel as good when she goes first. But we are very versatile and we can win both first and second. So I think the deck is actually fine and good. So yeah, this is the core. Like, if you want to play Zorga these days, you probably need those cards, or maybe the 4th shooter if it's a pure version, okay? Let's now discuss the orders, and let's also discuss the mask engine. Okay, so for the mask parts, we run those 3 cards, and we also, we will see the 2 masks, okay? The thing is that we only can tutor so much, because we only have 1 Shadow Cloak. Am I recording? It's so nice I'm recording. Okay, so yeah. So we only have 4 Shadow Cloaks. We need, as usually, as always, we need to have ways to naturally draw some of the parts. Shooters and abolishments, and that will help us draw the cards, but we still need to be able and be sure we will draw naturally some of the parts. Okay, we want to run 2 masks, even if it's a bit worse, because we don't run the 7 targets. Just be careful when you use that, and don't overuse it. But sometimes it can also be good. Maybe it can find this later in the game if the deck is a bit thinner or you need that, you can have it. The thing is, this card with this, it's like Soul Charge 2 every turn, because you ride Nadir on top of the mask, so it's Soul Charge 1, and then you ride put this to soul to ride again, so you're generating 2 souls per turn. That fuels the whole strategy, and you can keep using the Blitz order every turn and bouncing 2 PGs to hand. You don't, and this is very important, if you play this as, because I have tried other stuff, okay? When you play that as rewriting every turn, you will lose. Like, we need to, because we are not used to that in manga right now, okay? But some strategies do not have to be linear, okay? You don't have to do the same every turn, you don't have to have access to the maximum amount of power every turn. Also, Zorga has a crest now, we keep scaling. Later on, if you write Zorga and then you don't do that again, you are fine, it's fine, okay? So, if you play this with the mentality of generating resources and generating defense and never dying, you will never die, and it doesn't really break, because you just need to be able to rewrite Nadir again. If you are able to write Nadir every turn, even if one turn you don't have Persona right, or even if one turn you don't write Mask on top of that, and you save it for the future, you will be fine. Another thing that Zorga Mask does well, it's like early game, it gives you a bit more of push, and gives you, like, it fuels your soul so fast that you can use a lot of cards faster. Like, for example, going second, you can PG and Blitz Order defensively, then you Soul Charge 2, like, they are grade 3, you are grade 2, you use PG and Blitz Order to defend, then you Persona right next turn, you gain 2 souls back, so this means you can Shadow Cloak to bounce the PG back to your hand, and with the skill, you bind Zorga Nadir and recover not just 1 card, but 2, because Abolishment saves more cards than it expends, okay? So yeah, there is a lot of value in regard with this card, and how this card lets you play more of that often and having more PGs accessible, okay? Then let's move into the orders and why I do think this is very strong, okay? So rather than running a lot of orders that do nothing and they are just situational, let's just abuse what I think is the most powerful combination this format. I think those 2 cards, like Wreck with Malice, are too strong not to abuse, okay? With this, you're right Zorga Nadir, you lose 1 card from hand, but gain 1 soul, then Malice gives you another soul, so it's soul charge to 1. With Cow, you are actually activating 2 orders from drop zone, so you never activate an order from hand, which is also another plus. Like, every time you do this play, like combining, like, write Nadir, Mask to rewrite, Cow to get this into hand, do that, kill Foxhill, kill Hostage PG from Night Rose or Rezael, and you put the card back into your hand. Like, you can choose to put 1 of these and 2 of that each turn of the game. Also because we are running Alana, right? So if you play with enough preparation, you can set a lot of soul and nullify 3 of your opponent attacks while drawing every turn. I would say, like, I don't feel sorry for being on a 3-attack deck. I would feel sorry for them for not being able to kill us even with 578 attacks, okay? Like, okay, Night Rose, it's super big. Levidras, it's super big. And they don't kill you, because you have 2 PGs and 1 Blitz Order every turn in your hand. And you can fuel it, because it's Soul Charge 1, Soul Charge 1, Soul Charge 1. 3 Soul Charge every turn. Alana, it's Soul Charge, 4th Soul Charge. And this is 1 soul, 1 soul, 1 soul, and 1 soul. Like, it's literally free. And if they are playing Hostage, using Wreck equals a 4th attack, because you're going to kill the defense they just set up. So you don't have to attack 4 times to actually attack 4 times this format. And with this and that's a strong. This also could be Philander, okay? But I think the way this is fueled, the consistency of being able to play every turn, the possibility of just generate the same power by creating markers, because you have the CV, outclasses Philander completely. Philander is fine because it makes the transition between Zorgas smoother, because you cannot Persona Write and still access the 10k. But I think this card is way superior because it enables the good combinations of orders way often, and it's 1 additional +1 every turn. And it's also free, so let's use that. And then we have another 5 orders. Those are less important, but it's good having them in mind. So we have this. This is very good for when you don't want to use the shooter. For example, it might happen that you bind a Zorga Nadir and you're forced to kill the Shadow Cloak. And some turn, because you don't see a way to generate another Shadow Cloak next turn, you might want to just use that instead. Maybe you don't have the soul that turn and you won't generate it, so you might want to use that. This also accelerates the bind Zorga Crest, so that's also really good, but it's more situational than it might initially seem. This is like grabbing a card from drop zone for free, essentially, because we have so much soul charge. Then we find the pieces, and sweets. Sweets, okay, there is a friend in France, the Eraser, it's a player, a French player. Like, he said, this card is so good, and he was so fucking right. I love it, and I love it here. Because, also, like, I don't know how it's the word for that, but like, I don't know, I just really like the French community, because they are so competitive, but they are also so friendly, and like, they take the game seriously, but they are also so nice to hang around. I don't know, I love them. So yeah, this card is very good, okay? Because, yeah, I lost track. No, I didn't lose track. Okay, so this card is amazing turn 2, but it's not just that. There is some turns where, like, all you need, it's like, this card, it's like an Autogaste. It helps you dig for luck. like, you need to heal. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's not that. It's like digging further for the luck to happen. Some turns you can be turn 3 and you don't even ride the mask, because the win condition here, it's having Nadir on your right, on your grade 3 every turn. If it won't be there, you might as well not ride that, okay? And Switch, it's very good when those turns you have to do that. It draws your cards without having to call them. Those cards are a bit worse though, because you have to call cards, and you don't want to call cards because Nadir calls the cards, okay? And it feels amazing for those turns. Like turn 3, it's amazing. Like you can do Frugal Widow to thin, then on top of Switch, then you draw and stack the card, and maybe you don't want to write, or maybe you see a card you want to draw, and then you say, okay, I will Persona write. Okay, so yeah, that's basically how this works. The only thing in the triggers is like, I think I prefer this now because it draws one card less from your deck. Like, I think this card is good enough of the times, and it never draws the extra card, and I value not decking myself out. That's the reason I'm playing this. Also, like, when you restand RPD, I don't know, that's strong. So yeah, the most important part of the triggers, it's Alana, because you need to fuel the whole strategy since the very beginning. Ideally, you want to call one cow and one Alana, and if you create the market, you can give Alana 5k, so it's like calling 2 8ks, and you don't feel you lack power on this column, okay? I think I made it very short and very clear. I have talked about everything. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I think this summarizes that up. One thing I haven't mentioned is that Nadir sets you a pool of skills to activate every turn. Like, you might want to keep this in your drop zone, but then you have like this plus call 1, this plus draw 1, this plus get an order, this plus kill them because this is broken, okay? So Zorga Nadir, opposing to Zorga Mask, lets you run less of the utility cards because you can access them more often. So I feel like having only 2 ways of call from drop, it's fine. It's hard for both to go to damage, and even if that happens, you can still like use the Nadir skill, the Mask skill to bind the Zorga and call the bounce target. But yeah, that's what you want to do. Like, you want to play for value. Don't overcommit into like aggressive tempo with that. Just think of that as a battery, as a way of going +1 for free, and as a way to generate 2 souls the turns you need that to fuel the double PG plus Blitz Order bounce play. And then you divine skill with 78k dragons late game. Okay? Hope you enjoyed. Stay safe, have fun, a lot of fun. Zorga, it's so fun, and it's also like literally the third best deck. I would say it's like the 2, but I don't want to be too optimistic. I think it's like top 3 at least, because like Levitras, it's obviously broken, but Night Rose is not that good, and Royal I don't think it's that good either. Okay, so yeah, I think there are those 4 decks there. This completely destroys Odium, completely destroys Varga. Any Divine Bursty deck that tries to kill you will die to this because you are so fucking bulky. You just need to let them loose. Like, those decks, when they use the Divine, they do nothing else. Like, and you use the PGs, next turn, kill whatever and bounce to PGs and this. Like, they Divine skill you. Like, with this, like, I have reached points of the game where it's like turn 9, I'm about to deck out, and I still have 1 Blitz Order and 4 PGs in my hand. This is literally the most strong deck in defense. There's no way to be better than this. Not even Levitras is better than this, because good luck being Levitras going first into Night Rose when they are starting to attack with a lot and your markers are not enough, and then you have to PG but you don't have enough PGs and they are running the hostage and they can PG you. Good luck. That being said, have fun, stay safe, and see you soon.